Julius Gisalo, MFR. The Honorable Minister of State, Housing and Urban Development, Honorable Abdullahi Tijani Gwazo. The Honorable Minister of State of Steel Development, Honorable Uba Meigari. The Special Advisor to the President on Policy and Coordination, Hajia Hadiza Bala Usman. The Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Mr. Bayo Onanuga. The Permanent Secretaries here present, the Director Generals of agencies under the various ministries here present, Senior Executive Officers, Senior Special Assistants to the President, Directors of the ministries here represented, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, but not to forget our very senior friends from the media. You're most welcome this morning. It's my singular honor and privilege to welcome you all to this World Press Conference, celebrating Nigeria's 64th independence anniversary, with a theme reflecting on the past, inspiring the future. We all know that Nigeria is going through a phase of which, indeed, hope is at the end of that tunnel. At this time, Honorable the Secretary of the Government of the Federation, permit me to move on to the next item on the agenda, which is to invite the Honorable Minister of Information and National Orientation, who doubles as the Chairman, Media and Publicity Subcommittee, Mohammed Idris, Fellow of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations, the Honorable Minister of Information and National Orientation. Sir, you may wish to give your address from there. Thank you. Please, a round of applause for the Honorable Minister.
Thank you.
Honorable Minister, sir, you are invited to the podium by the media.
Well, I thought that was the normal thing to do until I was directed otherwise. Your Excellency, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, distinguished Senator George Akume, Honorable Ministers here present, Special Advisors, Heads of agencies, very senior government officials, my colleagues, members of the Nigerian media, ladies and gentlemen. Let me first thank you, gentlemen of the press, for always heeding our call when we invite you to talk to you on matters of national interest. We also want to use this opportunity to thank you thus far on your coverage of activities of government. And we, as always, want to reiterate our pledge, our fidelity with you to keep you informed at all times on activities of government. And we also request of you, as always, to be very patriotic in your reporting. You report objectively, sincerely, and honestly, and in the national interest. Your Excellency, the Interministerial Committee on Nigeria's 64th Independence Anniversary, chaired by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, His Excellency Senator George Akume, is pleased to welcome you all to this World Press Conference. organized to unveil the programs lined up to commemorate the momentous occasion of the 64th anniversary of our great nation, Nigeria. This is a time of reflection, celebration, and renewed hope as we honor the journey of Nigeria, a nation that has demonstrated resilience, strength, capacity, and unyielding spirit in the face of numerous and daunting challenges. Since gaining independence in 1960, Nigeria has evolved from a nation of hope and potential into a leading force on the African continent and a respected voice in the global community. We have faced numerous trials, from political upheavals to economic challenges, but each time we have risen stronger through our shared unwavering vision of a united and prosperous country. Our democracy, now unbroken for nearly a quarter of a century, stands as a testament to the will of the Nigerian people to attain and sustain freedom and liberty for prosperity. Despite some challenges, we have weathered the storm and remained committed to democratic values and showcasing the maturity of our political system. Under the visionary leadership of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, we have initiated transformative policies and reforms aimed at correcting the missteps of the past and reposition Nigeria as an economic superpower in the near future. Despite global economic headwinds and the transitional pains accompanying some of the reforms, the President has remained focused in his efforts towards reviving our economy and returning the country to the path of prosperity and sustained growth. Undoubtedly, one of the significant setbacks to rural socio-economic development in Nigeria has been the absence of direct fiscal control by elected local government administration. In a landmark move, President Tinubu has taken a decisive step toward implementing local government autonomy by seeking a verdict from the Supreme Court. This action demonstrates his administration's commitment to a deep-rooted restructuring of the country, enhancing governance and development at the grassroots level, and also promoting effectiveness and accountability at the local government level. In addition, a lot of work is ongoing towards ensuring macroeconomic stability, stabilizing the foreign exchange regime, reforming the tax system to make it more efficient and less burdensome on Nigerians, repositioning our oil and gas sector to attract new investment, and prioritizing the diversification and expansion of government revenues. Following the removal of the petroleum subsidy, President Tinubu is gradually guiding Nigeria into an unprecedented energy transition phase, launching a presidential initiative to move the country from fossil fuels to compressed natural gas, CNG, as a fuel for vehicles and machinery. The ongoing rollout of the CNG and associated infrastructure is reducing transportation costs for Nigerians up to 60%, creating jobs and attracting tens of millions of dollars in local and foreign investment. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the young people of Nigeria now have a clearer path to sustainable tertiary education through the Student Loan Access to Higher Education Act of 2024, which has established the Nigerian Education Loan Fund, among others. Complementing this is the new Consumer Credit Corporation, established to guarantee access to low-cost and flexible consumer credit. In multiple ways, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is focused on putting more money in the pockets of the Nigerian people and creating avenues for sustainable prosperity. Let me now use this opportunity to thank Nigerians for your patience and resilience in this very difficult period in the evolution of our economy. The journey has been tough, but surely there is light at the end of the tunnel. Our sacrifices will not be in vain. Amid these challenges, we should never underplay the emerging shoots of progress, whether it is the growing success of our military against bandits and criminals, or the drop in inflation for a second consecutive month, or the mounting testimonials from delighted beneficiaries of business grants, student loans, CNG, vehicle conversion, among others. Let me also put on record the effort that the administration is also doing to ensure that the disaster we have faced recently as a result of the flooding in some parts of the country, especially in Borno State, is being tackled head-on. Let us continue to remind ourselves that we share the collective task of striving for the peace, unity, stability of this great country of ours. Together, we will build a nation that will be the pride of every black man on the planet. And as the president always says, we will hand on to our children a banner that is unstained. With the recent ratification of the National Values Charter by the Federal Executive Council, the Federal Ministry of Information and National Orientation will now commence the implementation of the Charter in line with the President's commitment to fostering moral, ethical, and cultural reawakening. The Charter will bolster the conviction that the things that unite us, our sense of nationhood, our obligations to our country, will always be stronger and deeper than what may wish to divide us. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my singular honor and privilege to invite the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, His Excellency Senator George Akume, to make a presentation on the 64th Independence Anniversary celebration. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening and welcome to this great event.
Thank you very much. At this vein, please invite the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, CON. While we await the arrival of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, permit me to recognize the representative of the Inspector General of Police, AIG Bennett Igwe. SGF, sir, over to you.
Thank you. Members of the Federal Executive Council, my colleagues, special advisors to the President, here present, Comrade Hadiza Bala Usman, Policy and Coordination, Bio Nanuga, Information and Communications and Strategy, top military and police officers here present, permanent secretaries, directors, heads of government agencies here present, invited guests, gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen. It is with great pleasure that I welcome you, members of the Fourth Estate of the Rim, to this press conference organized to unveil activities, line up commemorate the 64th independence anniversary of Nigeria, our great and dear nation. The 64th independence anniversary calls for a combination of critical actions on our part as citizens and collectively as a nation. These actions include a reflection on our past, recognition of our accomplishments on the journey so far, and a determination to raise the banner of hope, progress, peace, unity, and development. Let me begin this press conference by saluting the selflessness, sacrifices, and immeasurable contributions of our founding fathers who fought for the attainment of this nation's independence in 1960. I was in primary one when we got independence. So I knew this national anthem when I was in primary school, when many of you hadn't been born. But the young shall grow. Similarly, I acknowledge the invaluable contributions of all past leaders of this country for laying the foundations on which this administration is building. Their vision and resilience helped Nigeria to navigate some of her most difficult phases, including the Civil War, and earned us respect among the Committee of Nations. As a nation, therefore, we must recognize with pride our journey to a stable and broken democratic sovereignty, which has spanned 25 years since 1999. I was governor in 1999, and we always pride ourselves as that group of 1999 that anchored the return of the country to presidential democracy. And of course, the late Yaradua was one of us, President Yaradua. And you know who is on the throne. That was a great set, I think, endowed by Almighty God. We must also recognize the resilience of Nigerians and their leading contribution to global development in different phases of human endeavor. Like several other nations, we are currently grappling with diverse challenges, but we remain resolute in our inalienable destiny to build a strong and proud country that works for the good of all citizens, irrespective of status, tribe, religion, and creed. Let me assure you that this administration shall remain committed to its promise of working sacrificially to deliver the dividends of democracy to every Nigerian citizen. This government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, His Excellency, GCFR, is very much aware of and deeply sympathizes with all Nigerians over the economic conditions we are passing through. These have been occasioned by unavoidable policy choices, including the removal of fuel subsidy, that his administration has had to make. Remember what I told you here. Professor O'Rahman, the president of Afrexim Bank, one of the brightest in development economics in the world, told me that that was the best decision the president took in the oil industry. Notwithstanding the daunting challenges, ceaseless efforts are being made to caution the immediate impact and to create new opportunities on the short, medium, long-term basis through diligent implementation of the renewed hope agenda. These policies and programs are being implemented for long-term solutions to these problems. They assure us all that in no distant time, under the leadership of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the trajectory of our socio-economic development will soar higher the positive territory. In alignment with the mode of nation, therefore, I wish to inform you that the President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu GCFR, has approved that the 64th Independence celebration should be low-keyed. It is in this context that the program of events has been designed to remind us about our strength when we stay united. Progress despite the challenges, the beauty of our diversity, the quantum leap this administration has taken within the short period in office, and a beacon of a brighter future for all through the renewed hope agenda. I said the shortest period because you gave us a mandate, 4 years. We have just done 1 year. So we still have a long way to go. But I believe we have started very well. Before I unveil the approved program of activities, I wish to mention a few of the accomplishments of this administration that impacts on our citizens, their daily lives. Ministers are here. They will add flesh to the skeleton. Recently, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu said, follow through with his promises on easing transportation difficulties of our citizens with the establishment of the Presidential CNG Initiative and the launch of the first phase of buses powered by hybrid compressed natural gas. This was done at a villa. Beautiful buses for beautiful people. And it's just the beginning. This is work in progress because the presidential initiative is designed to expand across all geopolitical zones of the country and eventually to every state. The government has also commissioned the first retrofitted CNG train head for the Abuja-Kaduna track. This is intended to cut the cost of travel by up to 50% when fully operational. In order to encourage conversion to CNG power land transportation, government has also commenced the distribution of CNG conversion kits at no cost to Nigerians. We have a young man here who is in that sector and is part of the team carefully assembled to give effect to this presidential initiative. Share with us at the appropriate time, he will make a few comments. The benefits of CNG transport system to Nigerians is huge reduction in cost of transportation. The president has also given priority to the growth of economy through the SMEs. By so doing, he has refocused on strengthening the backbone of economy by empowering Nigerians to start or grow their businesses. The President has similarly repositioned the National Social Investment Program to effectively address the challenges facing the poor, the vulnerable, underserved, and the elderly. Nigerian workers have also benefited from a newly improved national minimum wage. It takes effect from July. Minimum wage, as you know, is 70,000 from 30,000, a huge leap. This is coming on the heels of the wage award paid to mitigate the plight of the workers. The area of capital development, the Nigerian Students' Loan Fund has disbursed the sum of 2.5 billion. Now it's ongoing. The minister is here, education, to over 22,000 beneficiaries across high institutions in the country. It's a welcome release for parents and an opportunity to access education by indigent students in particular. Insecurity in different parts of the country has been a recurring challenge for successive governments since 1999. This administration has succeeded in elevating the human institutional capacity of the armed services and other security agencies to tackle these challenges of insurgency, banditry, and other criminal activities, including kidnapping. This is already yielding results, as insurgents and bandits are getting neutralized in large numbers, while several others are surrendering to the authorities for de-radicalization. The rainy season has similarly come and posed its own challenges. As a result of consequence of climate change and other environmental factors, the country has experienced in several states, resulting in fatalities, destruction of infrastructure, personal belongings, shelter, livelihoods, and so on. The humanitarian response of the federal government has been swift and most effective. Government has drawn lessons from the current situation and stepped up planning and prevention strategies. One of the major issues and challenges facing Nigerians is rising food prices. And to boost food security, availability, and ensure affordability of food, government has removed tariffs on importation of certain categories of food. In addition, government has distributed fertilizers, farm inputs, and other critical items to boost food production. These are some of the policies that are going to be taken up by the Honorable Minister or his representative. On a long-term perspective, infrastructural development remains one of the pillars of the Tinubu administration. Since his assumption of office, government has shown its resolve in completing ongoing projects and initiating new ones in key sectors. Transportation infrastructure, particularly roadway and airport projects, have been prioritized to enhance connectivity, facilitate trade, and improve the overall quality of life for Nigerians. Having availed some of these accomplishments, whether it's endless, and I wish to unveil the schedule for the 64th Independence Anniversary celebration as follows. The first event is what we're doing today, World Press Conference. 2 special Jummah prayers takes place on Friday, the 27th of September. Interdenominational church service. And this one is going to take place, special Jumat prayers at the National Mosque here in Abuja. Interdenominational church service, 29th September, that's on Sunday, at the National Christian Center, Abuja. Presidential broadcast will be the 1st of October. 64th Independence Anniversary Parade, Tuesday too. 1st October, the Presidential Villa. Ladies and gentlemen, I call on you as the members of the fourth estates of the Ring to support this administration by consolidating our partnership in order to reposition our country and bring hope and fulfillment to all and sundry. I remember what one journalist said in the past, that no matter the imperfections of democratic government, journalists go to bed without minding about midnight knocks. Nobody is going to knock at your door, in spite of what you write against government. Also, I'm counting on your unalloyed support to publicize activities lined up to mark this year's independence anniversary, and please publicize the very, very positive things that this administration is doing, most of them in the most unprecedented manner. Let us therefore stand united, resilient, and hopeful. I wish all Nigerians a happy 64th Independence anniversary in advance. We have here a robust team of ministers, special advisors, who will take your questions. All matters of policy, and they're equal to the task. I thank you for your attention, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
I believe we can make the applause a bit louder for the Secretary to the Government of the Federation. Thank you. Very distinguished members of the media, we've gotten to that segment of the press conference where we'll ask questions, and the Honorable Minister of Information and National Orientation will tell us the format in which we'll take this segment.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Excellency, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, for that insight. Now, we are at the question and answer session, and this is how we want to proceed. You are seeing an array of the ministers here on the high table and those also on the front row. We will give room for about 5 questions. Members of the media can ask any of the ministers here questions on any area that they wish clarification or explanations for. Then the minister will use the opportunity to make these clarifications and further expansion where necessary. If the minister so desires, he can also bring in any of his official from his ministry or any head of agency to make further clarifications. But before we proceed, I have a very important announcement to make, and that is concerning our national anthem. You know that the current national anthem has 3 stanzas. At the last Federal Executive Council, a decision has already been taken, as it is with the tradition, that only the first stanza of the national anthem will be recited at events such as this one. It is only when you have events where the president is around or where you have national events like the Independence Anniversary that you take the entire 3 stanzas. But going forward, it is the first stanza of the 3 stanzas of the national anthem that will be recited at events such as this one. The second one is that the 3rd stanza of the national anthem is our national prayer. Our national prayer is being replaced by the 3rd stanza of the current national anthem. Recall that in the old national anthem that has 2 stanzas, the 2nd stanza used to be the national prayer. Now it is the 3rd stanza of the new national anthem that will serve as our national prayer. But the national pledge remains as it is. I think it is important that we make these clarifications out there. Of course, the National Orientation Agency that is saddled with the responsibility of that will continue to make further advocacy and enlightenment on this matter. Thank you very much. So let me come back to tell you that there will be opportunity for about 5 questions. You can ask any of the ministers here any question. They will answer you and use the opportunity to make further clarification. Over to you, MC.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. With that said, we know the drill. State your name, state your media outlet, and your question. 5 questions will be taken. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Thank you very much. Please help me pass the microphone. Please, straight to the question, please. Thank you.
Your Excellency, the SGF, sir. My name is Emeka Wampa. I publish Nigerian Spokesman magazine. I have 2 questions. One for you, and the other one for the Minister of Water Resources. Your Excellency, sir, before your speech, the Minister of Information and National Orientation read his speech, and I counted the phrase "daunting challenges" in his speech. It came out 3 times. And somehow that same phrase came out in your own speech, "daunting challenges." And then going to your speech, the mood actually reflects what Nigerians are going through. And I want to report to you, sir, that before the beginning of this assignment, a few senior colleagues in the media, we had a chat among ourselves where we also reflected on the past of this nation, the present of this nation. But we concluded that much as things may be terrible, we cannot give up on our nation. We will not give up on our nation. I want to ask, sir, these daunting challenges, looking at the relationship between the federal government and the state government, our governors, sir, I don't know what solution you have to our governors that are living large in spite of the huge allocation that's coming to them. The bulk of Nigerians, 2 to 30 million Nigerians, live in these states. And we believe, sir, on this side of the divide, that this government has demonstrated commitment to bring grassroots governance to where it should be. My question, sir.
Please get to the question.
My question, sir. We have looked at the Supreme Court June 11, 2024 ruling on the local government autonomy, which is one good thing that the federal government has done to take governance to the grassroots. Sir, what will be your legacy in this direction without, sir, causing any kind of friction between the federal government and the state government?
Thank you very much.
I ask this question, sir, that we are in the structure of this nation right now. The president is a former governor. The vice president is a former governor. The senate president is a former governor. And your humble self, sir, the SGF, you are a former governor. What do we do about our governors? I thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much. Number 2, please. I think the punch. Please, let's stick straight to the question. Thank you.
Okay, my name is Adelani Adepegba. I write for The Punch. In July, the president announced the food import waiver to caution the high cost of food in Nigeria, that waiver for food importation. But till now, we've not seen anything. The last time we had was that the Ministry of Finance was meeting, and they are yet to select the accredited importers. So we'd like to get an update from the minister. Secondly, a few weeks ago, the Minister of Education announced a ban on university admission for 18-year-olds. And this is a worrying issue for Nigerians. We'd like to know what the government is doing, whether they have taken a decision to prevent those who are under 18 from university admission. Then finally, sir, on the issue of fuel supply in Nigeria. A few weeks ago, the NNPC announced an increase in fuel. And yesterday, the presidency said the government is not going to intervene in the price of fuel being supplied by Dangote. Does this mean that if Dangote chose to sell at 1,300 per liter, the government would not make any intervention, considering the fact that fuel, the cost of fuel is very instrumental or very central to the cost of food and other services in Nigeria? Thank you.
Thank you. Number 3.
Good afternoon. My name is Yomi Odunoga. I write for the Nation newspaper. My question borders on food security. I don't know whether the Minister of Agriculture is there. In May, we were here and we were told so many things about how to reduce the cost of food items in the market. As I stand there today, then the price of a bag of rice is about 80, 85. Today at the market, the price of local rice, a bag of rice local is 114,000 naira. And I wonder, we are going into December. I wonder, we are going into December. If you want to make the people happy, because let us be realistic, every time we come here, we get fantastic figures and all that. But the average Nigerians that we report to, they are not feeling the impact of this government. And we must say the truth. If we are going into December, even the 40,000 naira bag of rice that the government promised, I can assure you, sirs, that many people, many Nigerians don't have access to that 40,000 bag of rice. So I want to ask, what is going to happen between now and December? Because the waiver is till January. Is there any way the government can really help in making sure that whatever grains they have in the reserve get to those people that need them so that they can be happy? Instead of us talking about economic figures there. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Number 4. Number 4. All right. Honorable Minister wants to intervene. Number 4, just hold on.
Gentlemen of the press, I please request that we pay attention to the questions and to the MC so that we can have one house. A situation where many people are also making remarks at the back will not help us. Thank you for your cooperation.
Thank you, sir. Number 4.
Your Excellency, my name is Alhaji Sule, the National President of Nigerian Israeli Chamber of Commerce, Industry, and Agriculture. My question goes to the Secretary to the government. We are the first to organize a trade fair, solid mineral trade fair for the private sector. I have a brochure which bears the name of the Secretary to the government. My next observation, among the achievement of the present president, he abolished and introduced a minister for solid mineral development, which is a very outstanding right. But what have we done with that establishment? Because now the present government has indicated that we will be at the United Nations. We are demanding for a permanent seat. And the only opportunity that we can get the seat is to develop our economy rightly. Otherwise, it will be a no-go area. I commend the government policy on the development of solid mineral, which will transcend to every local government in Nigeria, because we have solid mineral all over the 774 local government of Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Number 5, Mr. Benga.
Good afternoon. My name is Benga Ashuru from Arise News. In my opinion, I've been watching the progress, the proceedings of this administration since its outset. And from my own perception, it's as if the nation is held hostage by two extant policies of the federal government. One is the removal of the fuel subsidy and the flotation of the naira. And when you look at the oil sector, the price of fuel, it was 197 by the time you took over, and now it is hovering within the range of 1,000 naira. I want to believe that you can imagine the effects of this on the masses. And also the introduction of the Dangote refinery coming into stream. What has the federal government done to ensure that we take full advantage of this? Because we have moribund refineries that our leaders are telling us that it's mechanically and technically ready. But up till now, it's yet to take off. So one would imagine that rather than reducing its stake in Dangote refinery, why is the federal government not using that investment in reviving the endless non-performing refineries to support the Dangote refinery to ensure that people benefit? We produce oil in this country, and it's a big paradox that we are not benefiting from the fact that we are producing. Before
we heard from the oil experts that the major reason is the landing cost. So from Dangote Refinery now, there isn't anything like landing cost. So can you explain to us why Nigerians would continue to bear a huge cost in gaining access to fuel, and why we'll continue to pay a huge price to the price of PMS? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Honorable Minister, that's 5 questions we can do.
We can give room for additional questions, especially on infrastructure. The Honorable Minister of Works is here. If there is, if there isn't, that's also fine.
All right, sir.
Good afternoon, everybody, and then all protocols duly observed. My name is Iweze Rose. I report online. My question goes to the SGF, sir. Please, you know, the arrangement for the minimum wage has been for the workers, the public services, civil servants. What is the arrangement for the people that are not really, you know, in the public sector? Do we have any arrangement for them? And then secondly, even with all the remuneration going on, arrangement has been focused on the public servants. My question will be, what is going on for the people that are not in the public service? And then again, you said something that we can see how you have achieved in this 1 year. I know that you know that Nigerians were not really happy for this past 1 year, sir. So what do you think will happen in the next 3 years? Please, we need to really, yes, we need to.
Thank you very much. And the last. Thank you.
Adebayo Bodron is my name, from AIT Power. Honorable Minister of Works, can you share with us your plan in reversing the sorry state of our roads? For those of us who travel across this country, traveling from one state to the other these days, the roads are in bad shape. The roads are bad. What efforts are being made to ensure that the roads are motorable? Thank you very much.
And that will be the end of the questions for this session. Honorable Minister, Secretary to the Government, you may please deal.
Thank you very much, my colleagues and members of the press. These are very germane questions, and as I said, there is a team that has been put in place to attend to your questions. And from the way you have spoken, we all know are very patriotic Nigerians who want to know what is happening. We said you should disseminate this to our people, and still you want to know. Maybe there is a gap somewhere, but today that gap is going to be closed. So please pay attention to what we're going to say. These things are measurable. This not that we're inventing things that have not happened or are not happening. They are not what? Philosopher kings. So please, I'll take the one you have directed to me, and then I refer the rest to my colleagues here, who will, I believe, do justice to what you want us to do. You talk about solid minerals, and frankly, this government, when it came on board, decided deliberately as a major policy thrust to create the Ministry of Solid Mineral development. Because principally, this country is very, very rich in solid minerals. But there hadn't been any policy put in place to ensure meaningful and purposeful exploitation of these minerals for the benefits of Nigerians. It became an all-comers game. Artisanal this one will come and do this, create a hole here, create a hole there, without coordination. Today we have a very coordinated policy, so that before you go into this, you need to have a license, you need to know the kind of tax you are going to pay. You have to know that you have to also interact with the communities where these mineral resources are located. They also become part of the process of exploitation, so that you don't have problems. The people know and what you're doing. They're also part of it. They're also going to benefit. The minister himself is not here today. He was in China, he's in America, selling this new policy with maximum resolve. And that is why you'll find so many people coming, companies, reputable companies coming to invest in the solid mineral sector. Something that had not happened before. I'll give you an example. Nasarawa State, which is near Abuja here. Lithium harmony plants are being put up there. Big plants. One company has invested about $350 million in exploitation and processing. It's not just a question of exploiting and exporting the raw minerals. You have to add value so that what comes to the government is so significant. That's why you exploit gold in its crude form. You take it over there, make a lot of money, we're paid pittance here. No, that is not so. But I believe on Monday, when there's going to be another session, he will be there. Don't forget, this is the largest economy in Africa. And we have also participated in peacekeeping operations in Africa and beyond. We have done this as requested by the United Nations. We have done these things for humanity. In most cases, we use our resources. We believe we have paid our dues sufficiently strong to enable us have a permanent seat at the Security Council of the United Nations. Many countries have spoken in our support. I played host to many of the envoys. And we mentioned this, the support. Sometimes we try to undervalue what we have. Nigeria, I believe, is destined to play that role, and our friends, associates, already supporting because they know the leadership we also have today. Nigeria is capable of playing a leading role in that place. And even the request that he said Nigeria and no other African countries. We're not selfish. That's what I want to say as far as this is concerned. Then somebody talk about, I hope Yomi, sorry, not Yomi, Sule. I hope you go home with some message. And this is what we have said and we believe we should be there. Minimum wage, which is also directed at me. Remember that the minimum wage was negotiated by 3 bodies, and that is what we talk of tripartite involvement in the negotiation process for the new minimum wage. Government, when I talk of government, talking about the 3 governments, federal, state, local. That's 1. Labor, organized labor, NSCTUC. And 3, organized private sector. They were all involved. So it's not something that's just restricted. Public sector. It's something that's expected to reach, particularly to those, to reach out to those who are also left out. It's because of the love of Mr. President for the workers that when it was recommended that 62,000 should be the minimum wage, he opted to 70. It was a tough issue. But he believes and very, very strongly in the capacity, the ability and the patriotism of the workers, whether in the public sector or in the private sector, to drive the economy of this country. So the minimum wage is inclusive. It's not exclusive at all. I believe I have answered in a small way your question. I haven't. I have, because that is what happened. Tripartite arrangement. Federal, state, local governments. And that's why you have labor, TUC, NSA, and then the organized private sector. I believe that has been the tradition. Mr. President has taken it even further. From 62,000, he moved it to what? To 70,000. I thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah? You're on again? Relationship with? Oh, sorry, okay. This is a federal arrangement. In a typical federal system, you have independent tiers of government. Federal, and in our case, federal states and the local government. Just in some other federal systems, you have the federal and states, but we work cooperatively. It's not just the federal government. I think there is some misconception here. Everything federal government. If there is no food, there is federal government. Agriculture is on the concurrent list. So it's all of us working cooperatively to ensure the best for our people. And recently, when the Supreme Court decided that local government must be independent in terms of authority, in terms of resources, Nigerians heard it. I became the Lord of the government executive to ensure the implementation of the decision of the Supreme Court. The panel was set up, it was approved by the government, by the Mr. President. It has done quite a lot of work to ensure compliance with the judgment of the Supreme Court. It is believed, and rightly too, that where the local government function maximally and efficiently, some of the problems we have today would have been reduced to the barest minimum. I want to thank Mr. President for this and the Supreme Court for love of country and our governors. We want to thank them for supporting this. I remember when I was at Owerri to represent Mr. President at the launch of the Southern Traditional Rulers Council. The chairman of the Progressive Governors Forum said that judgment was pivotal. It was going to make major changes. The economy of the local governments, by extension, but the quality of life of the people at the local level. So you see, the governors have also keyed into this. So I want to thank you for that questions, and thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Let me bring in now the Honorable Minister of Finance and the Coordinating Minister of Economy, who has questions from the Punch, Adelami, around importation, Benga Shuru around Naira flotation, fuel subsidy, Dangote refinery, and all that. And you use the opportunity to also expand and explain some of these issues for your benefit. Thank you. Honorable Minister.
Thank you and good afternoon. Honorable Ministers, fellow members of the Federal Executive Council, special advisors, the permanent secretaries here, heads of agencies, gentlemen of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me also join others in congratulating all of us here, and indeed all Nigerians, on this our 64th anniversary celebration, and indeed 25 years of unbroken democratic rule and governance. On the issue of importation of food, I think the first thing for us to all accept is that this is not where we should be. We should not be importing food, and the strategy and the aim and objective of government is to get us out of that situation as soon as possible. The work on the remainder of the wet season harvest, providing inputs, seeds, fertilizer to small-scale farmers, particularly under the Nigerian Agricultural Growth Scheme, Agri-Pocket scheme, which has been successful, is ongoing. And similarly, there are daily meetings. There are some coordinating meetings which I chair, working on making sure that the dry season harvest that will be planted around November is one whereby we have organized it well. The inputs that are meant to be delivered are done so on time. In the meantime, there is a short-term measure to import food. Government has already ordered, procured maize and wheat, which is on its way. As regards the other importers, it is critical that we do not disrupt domestic production of food. It is critical that we do not disrupt farming in Nigeria by flooding the market with imports that now put prices where farmers are now discouraged from engaging in production, and millers are discouraged from engaging in food processing. As a result, the conversation and the consultations are on to see what quantities we can bring in without disrupting the agricultural sector. And particularly the large-scale food processor millers, they are part of it. Food insecurity is a worldwide phenomenon affecting about 35% of the world's population. What we have focused on in particular is nutrition security. Under His Excellency, the Vice President, Senator Kashim Shettima, we do have a Nutrition and Food Council, which is ensuring that we intervene, particularly for young people, to bring nutrition to them. So in the short term, yes, we are intervening through some imports and dry and wet season procurement and delivery of the right inputs. But in the long term, we must, and we have identified and put in place strategies to increase agricultural productivity. 3 to 4 thousand metric tons per hectare. It is too low relative to what they achieve elsewhere in the world, the developing world, Mexico and so forth. They are up to 10 per metric ton. We are still at 3 per hectare. So in the agricultural sector, the long-term goal is to have our own seedlings, produce seeds that locally are very, very productive. If I go on to the petroleum sector, and also the issue of removal of subsidy, it was a necessary, a bold and a courageous move by Mr. President, that not only is it respected and lauded around international economic circles around the world, but it is one that has drawn us support. It has drawn us support in terms of relatively concessional financing to support and to help to maintain a fiscal position, an economic and financial position that the removal of fuel subsidy entailed. Clearly, there was an uplift in prices as a result, and that is why the intervention schemes came in, particularly direct benefits, direct payments to approximately 15 million households covering 75 million Nigerians. Right now, after much effort, we have paid not just once but twice to about 4.4 million households covering around 20 million Nigerians. Just last week, 840,000 payments were rolled out. And the aim is to continue to scale up and improve the ability to reach Nigerians and intervene, particularly for the poorest and the most vulnerable at a time when the economy is being reformed. Domestic production, domestic value added, as we heard even from SGF, is a key mantra of this administration and President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's leadership. The aim is that no item of raw material should leave these shores without some element of value added, because that's the way you create jobs, that's the way you grow the economy, that's the way you industrialize and modernize. And so we do have in the petroleum refining sector the beginnings of a return to the path of industrialization. When you produce locally, that is meant to give you value added, is meant to give you jobs, and in the petroleum sector, you save on all the importation costs, freight costs, and so forth. In addition, Mr. President has implemented a major innovation in facilitating that domestic refiners can buy crude from NNPC in Naira. The savings there are obvious, and I think it is a matter of time when the various benefits of such a scheme will feed through. And in addition, we do have lower oil prices, which means we lose on exports, but we do gain in terms of the opportunity and the potential for lower petroleum product prices. As has been said and announced, the subsidy is no more, and petroleum pricing is a matter between the various parties in the market. And the key there is that if we want to build competitive, value-added, globally exportable products and services, we must open up to competition and market pricing. Let me just say, in terms of the journey so far, having taken steps such as the ones described to stabilize the economy, there has been and there is the sign and the evidence that the measures taken, despite the difficulty and inconveniences, are yielding fruit. Inflation is coming down. The exchange rate is stabilizing. The reserves are rising. The budget deficit is falling. Government revenues are recovering. But on the basis of that stabilization, it gives us the opportunity to grow the economy through agricultural production and agro-industrial processing. It gives us the chance to now grow the economy, as we are seeing with local production, industrialization, including, as we see, local refining of petroleum products and the potential for exporting. The governor of Central Bank, in his recent speech, focused on the fact that we need to increase oil revenues. We need to increase foreign exchange revenues, and the first and most immediate source is by increasing oil production. But that is still a short-term measure. The world is moving away from fossil fuels and towards greener products. We too are pivoting in that direction with the CNG initiative. But fundamentally, it must be the non-oil sector, based on a stable macroeconomic environment, that we achieve investment in both direct foreign investment as well as local investors. That is the path that we are on, and that is the path that we believe will take Nigerians to economic well-being, social well-being, and a better life for all Nigerians. Thank you.
Thank you, the Honorable Minister of Budget and Economy Planning will tie into some of the things that the Honorable Minister of Finance and the Coordinating Minister of the Economy has mentioned.
Thank you, my brother, the Honorable Minister, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Honorable Ministers, Special Advisors to Mr. President, members of the media, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Let me also join the previous speakers in congratulating all of us on Nigeria's 64th birthday anniversary. As you rightly heard, the Secretary to the Government said, in 1960, there were 45 million of them. That was the population of Nigeria. Now we are fivefold. There are 230 million of us. Not surprisingly, demand for government services, infrastructure, financing to fund education, health services, and compete with other nations have grown significantly. In fact, in 1999, which is 25 years into our democratic journey, our population was 119 million. But while our population has been growing fivefold, our economy has not expanded as quickly as the population has expanded. And with constitutional democracy, the demand for government services increase. Constituencies are aware about their rights and the obligations of government toward them, so they want infrastructure, they want water, they want schools, they want empowerment, they want ability to lead meaningful lives. So when President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu campaigned, based on both his collective experience in life and in particular as a former state governor and contemporary student of international history, he reckoned that what we need to do as a country is to communicate this challenge properly and correctly, and without blame game, confront it, while acknowledging that in the past, a lot of effort has been put to get it, but we are not there. And the easiest way to mobilize a populace is to quit blame game, admit the challenge, and mobilize the populace so that we confront the challenge. He was sworn in at a time when the world, countries in the industrial world and many developing countries are facing a cost of living crisis. Today, countries that are wealthier than us, that are richer than us, have seen homeless population increase, have seen people live in homes because they can no longer pay mortgages, have seen populations, this is industrial countries, European countries, US, have seen people making a choice between eating and heating because energy costs have gone up. So some of the challenges are not unique to us. They are contemporaneous challenges that are being affected by everyone. And even before Mr. President was sworn in, some of these challenges have been acknowledged. For example, all the major political parties campaigned on subsidy, fuel subsidy removal. That it should go because it's wasteful, it's draining our resources, and is limiting our ability to achieve. And let us explain clearly what this debate has been. When we say fuel subsidy removal, because it's a very emotional topic, many Nigerians forget the fact that diesel prices and kerosene prices have long been deregulated. And these are the fuel sources for most trucks. Petrol, cars can run on petrol or CNG. CNG is much cheaper. So it makes sense to transit to CNG so that Nigerians can have cheaper source of fuel, not just for transportation, but for irrigation and other productive activities that can support the expansion of our economy and even ensure that we are competitive in the goods and services that we produce. So what President did was to take the gauntlet and say enough of debate about this removal, enough of debate about CNG penetration, let's do it. Not without, of course, recognizing that there might be temporary shocks that have to be responded to, particularly to the vulnerable group. But with the confidence that after the temporary shocks, we will evolve an energy competitive economy that will contribute to expansion of the economy. So the renewed hope agenda or the renewed hope strategy is about confronting our reality without blame game, but recognizing that it will affect vulnerable groups, particularly in the short run. And that is why social intervention programs were introduced. A lot of intervention programs were introduced to ensure that we compensate for shocks, those shocks, while at the same time not squandering the opportunity to put our economy on a pedestal for growth. How small is our economy? Well, our federal budget is about $20 billion. And when you compare it to countries in the same population basket with us, you will see that it's very small. Indonesia is 213 billion federal budget. Brazil is $750 billion federal budget. So needless to say, if we continue going the way we are, we can't achieve our economic objectives compared to those countries. That's why we need to calibrate. You don't have revenue, it's too small. In fact, the most objective measure of this revenue challenge is the monthly federal allocation meetings, where we distribute less than $2 billion to the 3 tiers of government. So even if it is at $2 billion, that means $24 billion for the 3 tiers of government, local government that rely 90% on that for their revenue, or state government that rely about 70% on that, or the federal government, which is about 65%. So that tells us how challenged we were. So, Mr. President, even before he was sworn in, he was very clear that how did other countries respond to this? Those countries whom we wish to be like. We just came back from China, we want to be like China, we want to be like Brazil. What choices do China and Nigeria's GDP were almost similar in 1990. What choice did they do in 1990 that transited them to a wealthy nation that we are proud of? Well, for starters, they demonstrated that population is not a problem, because they were able to organize 7 times Nigeria's population under one political party and continue to deliver prosperity year after year. Why? Because they took the right economic choices. What are those choices? First, accept your reality. What do you do if you don't have enough revenue? Put policies in place that will impress international investors and people who hold capital to have confidence in your economy. Borrow sensibly so that you can put the infrastructure and support the productive enterprise in place that will yield more income tomorrow. And adopt policies luckily, that's when you that have been tested elsewhere. That is why Mr. President introduced a consumer credit scheme, which the Minister of Information have spoken about, so that more Nigerians can be able to afford goods and services and pay on a longer time basis, commensurate with what is being done around the world. That will support also our manufacturing sector, so that our manufacturers do not have to worry about market. They only worry about production efficiency. Equally, a mortgage sector that will see more homes being built, so that millions of Nigerians who otherwise could not afford homes will be given the opportunity to do so, and in so doing, that will also contribute to economic growth and mobilize domestic production, as well as youth-centric programs. We have a 3 million youth training program that is designed to train our children or support our younger ones so that they can participate in the jobs of the future. Automation, artificial intelligence, robotics, where they will earn millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars even while living in Nigeria, while at the same time also developing women-centric programs to ensure that our hardworking women are supported in the quest to deliver economic prosperity. We have programs for agriculture, we have programs for the MSMEs and nano credit schemes that are all intended to support revival of domestic economic activity. Mr. President is ambitious that we can create a $1 trillion economy in as $1 trillion economy in as short time as possible, and it is doing so. But to create a $1 trillion economy, you have to take measures, pleasant and unpleasant, but proper. And last but not the least, Benga Ashiru, is that flotation of Naira is about confronting our reality. We just don't have enough foreign currency coming in. So the central bank, as an independent institution, Mr. President supported them to say, well, look, how was it done elsewhere? Countries that confronted that kind of situation. And it was judged best that you should not support a system where winners are chosen. You have to have a market-based system which does not determine winners, but give everyone opportunity. And with that, more revenue, more dollar will employ into the system. And when more dollar comes in, the exchange rate will stabilize at lower than it is. And we have seen signs of it. When the Honorable Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy issued the first dollar bond, we are all apprehensive whether it will be subscribed. But to our delight, it was oversubscribed to almost 900, by almost 400 million. Sorry that I'm talking too long because, again, as the Minister of National Planning, I'm in a way the custodian of the renewed hope. And we are seeing visible evidence. Rating agencies have been favorable in what they are saying. Mr. President have interacted with leaders, some of whom we are privileged to participate, and we hear the commendations because they can see the sincerity. They know in those countries these are the kind of measures that were undertaken, and they offered him support. I remember the Minister of Trade and Investment in Saudi Arabia saying that they have been following Mr. President even before he was sworn in, and they saw his statements and measures compared to what the Crown Prince is doing in in Saudi Arabia. I've been warned by the monitor that. Thank you very much. Sorry.
Thank you, the Honorable Minister. I know he has the capacity to go on and on to give us information that we dearly require because, as he rightly said, he's also the custodian of the renewed hold programs in totality. But because we are on live program, all the TV channels have hooked up live. We must, facilitate this a little bit more faster. Let me bring in the Honorable Minister of Works. There was a question on infrastructure and roads in this country. He will answer to that. After then, I will move to the Honorable Minister of Education. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency, the SGF, my colleagues, Honorable Ministers, the SAs to Mr. President, the PAM secretaries, senior government officials, and revered men and women of the press. The question that was asked on road infrastructure was plans in reversing the state of the roads. What efforts are being made to ensure the roads are motorable? I agree with you that we inherited a lot of challenges as far as our roads are concerned. I admit that the roads are not what it's supposed to be. But before now, we had a lot of challenges which we are tackling. We had poor design of our roads in the past, poor supervision, and a poor construction. We inherited a lot of inflation and high cost of building materials in our road development. We're not fair to say that we have some of the contractors that are playing games over the years, not serious in doing the jobs they were paid to do. Because we have compensation problem, we have terrain problem, we have insecurity. And we noticed that we had a number of contractors with so many jobs, but no equipment and no technical people. And of course, lack of maintenance of our roads. So what have we done? We have improved on design. I don't know whether anybody knows any federal highway that after being constructed that has lasted for 10 years. It's because of lack of professional ethics in the development of our roads. You don't use asphalt where you have high water table to construct our roads. For example, you look at the East-West Road. The East-West Road from beginning to the end has a very high water table. And so as you're constructing with asphalt, the road is failing. We are addressing the design of our roads based on the subsoil and the water table. And the funding is also a challenge. But in the ingenuity of Mr. President, he has introduced renewed hope infrastructure funding, where a number of projects are migrated into this funding program, like the PIDF, where we come to that, and some of the roads that are within the nation economic corridors. We have the HDMI program, where we allow the private sector to participate. And so far, we have engaged with the private sectors in over 63 routes. And the idea is for them to bring in funds, construct these routes, work with the Infrastructure and Concession Commission and the Ministry of Works to tow these routes. We have started with the Kefi-Makurdi route that is completed. But we have not rolled out because we don't want anybody to pay with cash. So we're working with the Federal Ministry of Finance on how we can have paperless tolling system over there. We also have a system whereby we have what we are injecting the Real Hope infrastructure architecture on our roads. And For example, in Tom Mainland Bridge, after we finished the rehabilitation, we have built what we call the observation room by the seashore there. And we put solar light to ensure that we have light constantly that is not dependent on a generator or diesel. And we have also injected CCTV there. And so we have a house we have built where we will have the army, the police, the navy, and of course, Lasama in Lagos. And the idea is that anything happening on that bridge, within 10 minutes, that they should be able to get to that point. And so we have vehicles we have purchased, and then we have boats. So there will be, that is what we want to inject in all our roads. For example, we are completing the Lagos-Ibadan. We are working on Makurdi to 9th Mile. We are working on Abuja to Kano. And so these roads are going to be tolled. But we are not just tolling them, we are bringing confidence in the use of these roads. If people can travel at night because we are bringing security, where the response time will be 10 minutes along the entire corridor, where you have, solar light permanently there, and then reduces travel time, and through the tolling, the roads are maintained, then it means that there will be confidence because Nigerians will pay if the roads are good. But let me say this. Before now, the roads development was never handled as an investment. And it was never handled professionally, where professional ethics, would be injected into the road development. I've seen a situation in which in our road development, contractors play games. They charge you variation on price and charge you for differential of exchange rates in a development of the roads. These two are together. But we have seen payments being made on this. And it's not an easy fight to stop both. For example, when you pay a contractor 30% mobilization, it is expected that there is no inflation or variation that will affect this 30%. But that was not the practice. And so we have a president who is very vast in infrastructure development and who sees road development as an investment. And so let me not fail to let you know that this administration inherited a total of 2,600 projects with a total cost of 13 trillion. And of course, you should understand, the level we were before we floated the Naira and of course the fuel subsidy. And so you can imagine what inflation would have done. And so what we are doing is to select a number of projects in 2025 that are ongoing. We do not intend to start new projects. And so four projects are going to be selected per zone and then put money that we see these projects completed and also commissioned. We have a number of infrastructure development programs. We have the PIDF, and this PIDF is the second Niger bridge with section 2A and B, and the second Niger bridge is completed. We are working on 2A and 2B, and when we finish it, we will toll it. It's going to bring a lot of money to the federal government. We have the Abuja-Kano, which is 375 kilometers by 2. We inherited this project with about 52% completed. And so we had a couple of delays, but the job did not stop because the contractors wanted a review from 799 billion to 1.5 trillion. We rejected that, and we've been able to save 640 billion by way of review of the project, and we disaggregate the project into 3 sections, leaving a section of 82 by 2 kilometers for Julobeja, and then doing 38 kilometers. We redesigned the first 38 kilometers starting from Abuja to Niger State because it has a high water table, and so we reviewed it and redesigned it on concrete. And so we are doing that on tax credit with Dangote and the high tech, and because of the nature of the soil. We have the Lagos-Ibadan. We are completing it and we are tolling it. And we have also a number of roads that we have redesigned. For example, the East-West Road. The East-West Road was constructed by NDDC, but the past administration has to intervene because a number of the roads had failed. And let me start with Akwa Ibom to Cross River. We have 3 contractors there. We have the CCECC, we have the Julius Berger, we have the Samatech. That's a local contractor. But as these roads were being built on asphalt, they were failing. So we had to redesign the road. And what did we do? We had to look at the subsoil, strata. And so we dig 1 meter, we fill with lumps, with sharp sand and stone base, and we put 8 inches reinforced concrete. And that is what is ongoing right now within those 3 sections. And you come to Eleme to One Port. That section is 15 kilometers, and it has the highest traffic in this country. And it was awarded to a company, RCC, for 156 billion. We inherited that project. We looked at it. It was designed on just 2 layers of asphalt. There is no way it was going to carry the volume of traffic there. So we had to redesign the project. And what did we do? We designed it by digging a meter, filling it with lumps, filling it with sharp sand, filling it with stone base, and putting reinforced concrete pavement on top of it. And it's designed for 50 to 100 years. And that is what is ongoing. We also have projects that we inherited. Biniwari. You know the high water table Biniwari. We have the SKCC China company. We have the Levant. We have the Guild. And so these projects were also designed on asphalt. And there is no way the road could be built on asphalt and it would last for 2 years. Let me digress a little and tell you a story. When I went to China, I saw beautiful roads in China. I didn't see where they were doing maintenance. And I asked the question, what's the trick? They say in China, if you build a road and the road fails and you're still alive, and it is investigated and there was any element of compromise, you will go to prison for life. You can ask any Chinese, they will tell you. And so in our own development, we have 1 year liability period. 1 year in which after you have constructed a road, you have to maintain it. There is no badly constructed road that will not last for 1 year. And that's when people talk about FEMA. FEMA's budget is just 52 billion. It's less than 2 billion per state. And so there is no way 2 billion can maintain a badly constructed road. And that's why we asked the contractors, can you give us a commitment that we change the deferred liability period from 1 year to 5 years? And that was the fight. And so we are winning the fight because Mr. President is backing us. Don't forget that all through the years of Mr. President as governor, he built a number of roads in VI, with concrete. You go there, you see the interlocking ties. It's a form of concrete pavement, and they're still standing. So we have redesigned these projects on concrete pavement, and the people within these corridors are very happy with the ones we have done. You take, for example, the job Sokoto to Zamfara, down to Katsina, down to Kaduna. We also looked at it, and we saw that on a number of locations, we have very high water table, and we have redesigned the project. If you go to Sokoto to Zamfara, you see a very beautiful job being done by CBC. But let me digress a little to talk about the legacy project of Mr. President. When we started the coastal highway, 700 kilometers, that is traversing Lagos, Ogun State, Ondo State, Edo State, Bayelsa, Rivers, Akwa Ibom, and Cross River. People did not understand the merits of this project. People did not see this project as an investment. And so today, the first section is going to be completed by May 29th. And we're going to toll it, and we're going to get back our money within 5 to 10 years. We have checked it. We're also acquiring a number of land within the corridor because we've seen that tolling of roads alone is not just going to give you return on investment immediately. So along these corridors, we are acquiring land where we use for tourism, where we use for factories, where we use for housing, and so on and so forth. And so the essence of this coastal road is that it's going to decongest the Apapa Wharf, where you have shallow shafts for ships. Right now, we are doing transloading, and Nigeria is losing a lot of dollars on daily basis. Now, we have that deep sea port, and we are going to be taking a lot of, our clearing from that location. We are building the 7-axle road that is going to take off all the trucks from Dangote Fertilizer Refinery, the deep sea port, and they will now take it to Shagamu Bini Road. From there, it will go to north, it will go to southwest, it will go to south-south and southeast. And we have the Sokoto Badagry. And this is 1,000 kilometers. We have awarded sections 1 and 2. And along this corridor, you have over 63 dams. That's for irrigation, for agriculture. Within the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway, you have a lot of wind energy we are going to harvest, and so on and so forth. And so, let me conclude, because I've been warned that, Mr. President, when we came on board, we got out 330 roads and bridges that were in very serious danger. They say that the chain is, as strong as the weakest link. If you have a road that is so beautiful and then you have a cutoff, then the road is rendered useless. And so we had to earmark these 330 projects for a total of 300 billion under 2023 supplementary appropriation. Let me announce that over 85% of these projects are completed, and we have directed the directors of the various zones to go ahead and start commissioning from October 1st. And finally, let me assure that our road development is taking a different dimension under the support of Mr. President. And trust us, I want you, from October 2nd, we've agreed with the media that we are going to start the inspection of the roads to see the improvement we have brought to our road sector. And it's going to be in 6, different regions. So the media will be divided into 6, and then we go with our directors. And lastly, let me announce that we have sent all our directors to the field for proper supervision. So have hope in this Renew Hope administration. We shall get there. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister, for that very elaborate insight. Let me bring in now the Honorable Minister of Education. But let me say that we don't have much time again. I want to remind us all that we're on live TV. Very soon, some of these TV stations will cut us off if we don't end quickly. So let me bring in the Honorable Minister now, Minister of Education.
Thank you very much. The Secretary of Government, Honorable Ministers, my colleagues here, I'll give a very short background to the question being posed here about 18 years, for admission to tertiary institutions. Now, this government made 2 major problems afflicting education in Nigeria. One is what is called learning poverty, learning crisis. This means our young ones who are in primary school, in secondary schools, at their various levels, even in the universities, have problems with literacy, with numeracy, with critical thinking. And then fundamentally, when they finish from those schools, especially at the secondary school level, they go out there without any skill whatsoever. And out of the millions of students who finish from those schools, maximum of 35% proceed to tertiary institutions, which is universities, college of education, and polytechnics. The rest of 65% remain with us in the society without employment, without work, and without any form of training. So what we did and what we've done for the last 10 months has been to develop a program, a curriculum, a new curriculum that will involve, integrate knowledge, skills, traits, and values. So that, like in the years past, in the 60s, for instance, when a child finishes from secondary school, he would have acquired some traits, some skills, carpentry, electrical, you know, all those skills. And there are many, many more of them now coding, robotics, and that sort of thing. So this is what we've been able to achieve in the last 10 months, which will be ready for implementation, which is already ready for implementation from this October we are entering. Now, how does it interface with 18 years? Our laws, the Universal Basic Education Act and the Minimum Standards Policy Act, established in Act in 1993, prescribe specific age limits, age provisions for every level of government of education. For every level of education, 6 years in primary school, 4 years, 3 years in basic education in junior secondary school, 3 years in senior secondary school, and then 5, 6 years before primary school in pre-primary school. A child is expected to enter school at the age of 6. But what has been happening is that our children, our parents have been in a hurry. They frog jump their children, get them into school at the age of 4, skip level 6 at primary school, and also skip level 6 at secondary school. So they finish quite too young. Now what we have done is that with the type of curriculum that we have introduced, we need them to be in place as prescribed by the acts. Those 2 acts that I have mentioned, we need them to be in place to learn and acquire knowledge and skills. And remember, these acts are not the ones prescribed by the government. They were not enacted during this government's time. This is an act which was established in 1993. The 6334 came into being around 1982. So this policy is already a very, very old policy. All that the Ministry of Education did is say, okay, we come back to implementing this policy so that students can remain in school and learn skills so that when they finish, they will be able to be engaged productively. Even if they don't go to college of education or universities, they will have skills that they can be employed with or be even self-employed. And remember, the second component of it is the out of school. Because they have not been properly trained, a lot of them have dropped out of school, running into millions. We are now talking about almost 20 million of children who are out of school. Now with this new program, we'll be able to address this problem of out of school children. Then secondly, it's already established that when the final thing I want to mention, because we've run out of time, is the desire of the president to have stability in institutions, tertiary institutions in Nigeria. Now we've been engaging unions. As you know, just even yesterday or the day before yesterday, ASU gave notice for possibility of a strike. Now we've been engaging them. The federal government team to engage them is already in place, headed by the former secretary of the government of the federation, is already predetermined, Yayale Ahmed. And we'll be writing to ASU to bring up their own team so that they can engage them to conclude the 2019 agreement so that we can continue to have stability, the kind of stability which the president wants for tertiary institutions. And NASU, the president has already approved the payment of 2 months' salary for NASU SANU is already with finance for payment, and all other allowances which is due to them, we are already discussing, engaging with the officials of finance for the payment of those allowances. They are already being worked upon. So it is our desire and hope and expectation that the institutions will continue to enjoy stability. Thank you.
Thank you. There is also an addendum from the Honorable Minister of Water Resources and Sanitation on food security. I recall that the water sector is an integral part of food security, and I'm sure he's also going to say a word or two on the effort they are doing in Maiduguri as well and other places concerning the flood. He has 3 minutes to do that.